Good morning. Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Free Press Media Press Inc., an alternative parties books publisher, sponsors this podcast. I'm Andrew Bouchard.
Welcome to Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Today, friends, we have another exciting guest on our podcast like we always do. The group that he represents, the cause he represents, is called Put an End to Special Interest Groups and Political Action Committees. His name is Fox. So welcome to the podcast, Fox.
Thank you, sir.
Let us get started by you kindly giving us an introduction to yourself, a brief biographical sketch.
Well, I'm 70. I'm a Native American, and I'm tired of the government screwing us over. And the easiest way to do that is get the big money out of politics.
So that's why you started the page, because you want to get big money out of politics?
Yeah, well, we have to. Don't forget, Bernie's my senator, because I'm in Vermont.
Oh, interesting.
I've been voting for him since he was in the House.
Oh, wow.
Something's going to blow up.
It's okay. It's a garbage truck it's one of those commercial garbage trucks that they're taking it away. So it's noisy.
That's perfect timing, because that's what we want, to take the garbage away.
There you go. Way to integrate what's going on. Yeah, the special interests are garbage. So can you tell our audience how you define special interests and also political action committees?
Lobbyists, one word. Anybody that lobbies and bribes Congress, either House or the Senate, with big money to get their way, their pork and all that stuff, and screw the little guy. You know, it's all about big biz. They don't care about, Constitution, right in the preamble says, for the greater welfare of all, not the greater welfare of billionaires.
Sure. Okay, so do you have a problem with lobbying in general, or is it when it's the big money behind it? For example, do you have a problem with small organizations lobby Congress or labor organizations? Is that the issue, or is it the fact?
Any of them. It's got to be. Politics has to be grassroots. It has to be the individual, no groups.
Okay.
Period.
Okay.
Big money is the worst of it, no doubt. But I got one the other day for autistic children. While I'm not saying that's not a good cause, it's not. They shouldn't be in politics when they're trying to raise funds so they can buy what they need. Congress should be for the good of the people, regardless of how much money we got. And they're not. You have to buy Congress. Our politics are bought and sold on a daily basis. One party's worse than the other, I will grant you, and I won't have to go into names, because we're watching the one that's worse, keeping everything in limbo right now.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it's both parties are part of it, yet one is worse than the other.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's obvious if you watch what's going on. I mean, Bernie doesn't take any big money.
Is there anybody else you see that's a representative or a senator that is like Bernie that's not taking any money?
Oh, the independent from Maine. What's his name? Alex King, I think his name is?
Angus King.
Angus King, well, my sister lives in Maine, so I'm aware of him.
Okay, so he's another one with integrity, but that's about it, you think?
Yeah, as far as I can see.
Wow.
Well, I'll give Biden credit for one thing. He only takes small donations. He will not. He keeps it to a max of $5,000, and most people I know can't afford that. That would support him anyway. So he don't have many of those. And yet he's raised $71 million, which is more than all the Republicans combined. That should tell you something.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember hearing about Bernie raising a lot with his small donations too.
Oh, he's been in. He runs again, I think, next year, and if he wins again, which he probably will, that'll be his third term in the Senate. And I forget how many he was in the House, but I think he was like 4 or 5 in the House before that.
Yeah. He has a long career.
Oh, yeah. Well, he started as a mayor of Burlington 40 years ago, so. And I think when he got done that, he ran for the House, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That sounds right from what I remember. You know more because you live in the area. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
How did these form in the first place? Because they weren't there all along. So what happened that these political action committees...
This goes back to, oh, Jesus, this goes back to the 1800s, the late 1800s.
Late
because
1800s.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of started when Grant was president because his cabinet was so corrupt.
Oh,
and they cleaned that up. And then there was, hold on. Got me in my den, so you're lucky. I got my reference hand stuff handy. All I gotta do is just put my hands on it. Oh, there it is, right there. I have a degree and I still have to look shit up.
That's okay. What's the degree in?
History and political science.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, no, keep going.
Yeah, that sounds like that's a good fit for your interests.
Well, yeah, it would be, but it was, growing corruption in politics. Yeah, that's Grant. That's what I was just talking about. There's more, though.
Okay.
Oh, creating big business. That's what it was. Where is it? Well, of course, the railroads, they were bribing people left and right. There was a big friggin' scandal about that. That, Jay Gould was involved in and pretty well broke him. Creating trusts. And then Sherman's Antitrust Act in the 1890s.
Okay.
And then Teddy Roosevelt applied that. He broke up big business as much as he could. You know, the last big business that's been broken up that really mattered was AT&T, Bell Atlantic, and all those conglomeration. That's why they got all split up.
Oh.
Yeah. And then there was Harding in the 20s. He had a Teapot Dome scandal. That was where oil leases in Wyoming were sold underhandedly by Congress. And oh jeez, it's over 100 years now, and it's pretty well ingrained.
Okay.
And that of course has led to people being more selfish. You know, what about me? What about me? What about me? Well, how about if people don't have what we got?
Okay.
They deserve to have at least enough to survive.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason I do is because my dad left me a piece of land with a house on it. If I had to go buy a house now, I wouldn't be able to afford to.
Sure.
But I retired from the post office. I got a fairly decent pension, although they've cut it since I retired. So, and that's once again, lobbyists. And never mind the fact the post office pays for itself. It's not technically a part of the government. It's a separate private business that is controlled by the government. But most business is supposed to be, but the laws are not applied.
Huh. So, pardon my ignorance, how can they cut your pension if they already granted it to you? If it's already taken it?
I'm not even sure how that works. I'm still working that one out. It wasn't much. Oh yeah, and another thing is, I have to pay for Medicare when I paid for Medicare all the way through, and now they're still charging me for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's big business. On another big business one, special interest groups. Do you realize the U.S. and New Zealand are the only two countries in the world that allow prescription medicines to be advertised?
Interesting. No, I didn't realize that.
Uh-huh. That means the doctors of special interest group, AMA and all those, and the drug manufacturers are in cahoots. And you know why meds cost so much? They used to say it's research and development. Look what they spend on advertising. Now, who do you think's going to pay for that in the long run? Not the shareholders. It's going to be us. And that's, you go to Canada, perfect example. Bottle of 300 pills of vitamin D in Canada is $8.95. Down here it's $24.95, same manufacturer, same thing.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. Needless to say, when I go to Canada, I buy a year's supply. Because I can. And mind you, with the exchange rate, $8.95 in Canada is about $5.
Oh. Wow.
So 20%, that means the 80% more that we're getting charged down here goes into the pharmaceuticals to cover their advertising costs.
Yuck.
Yeah. And then another thing, you get all these charities that run TV ads all the time. They say they get them free. Well, they do get an allotment, but they're not allowed to run two examples right off the top of my head, St. Jude's or Shriners. They're allowed 2 commercials an hour. And that's over the spectrum. And yet they have 3 or 4 an hour minimum on each channel you watch. So that's an abuse. Now, who do you think's paying for those? Plus, here's another scam. We'll send you a blanket. How much money do they spend to get those blankets made? That's a diversion of funds. Plus, they're selling something they're not paying taxes on. Because if money changes hands and so you're given something in return, that is technically a sale.
Okay.
And they're not paying taxes on that. And that's a diversion of funds that they should be putting into their medicine, into their charity.
Okay.
And they're not. That's wrong. So I don't donate to any of them.
Oh, really?
Why? It's a scam.
Huh. So this is causing not only problems with big business, but with charities because of the way the system is set up.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
And it's so convoluted. You know, the system is so convoluted, it's not twisted, it's braided. And you'll never be able to untangle it all unless everybody gets together and says, enough is enough. That means you gotta clear all the politicians out of Washington and your state houses that take money that's more than from small donors. Because the people do not control the government, big business does.
Yeah.
Through the PACs, through the SIGs.
Okay.
And that's what it does.
It corrupts it all?
Well, of course it does. You got the guy that's running for Speaker of the House knew about sexual abuse when he was a teacher at college and did nothing about it. That's about as crooked as it gets, and do you think he's not still playing that game? Plus, he lies out of both sides of his mouth. And yet, he gets elected to Congress. Any wonder that the government is dysfunctional? You got people like that trying to lead it?
Yeah.
And we're not even going to the Mango Menace with his 91 freaking felonies. I'm just waiting for him to go behind bars. And there's that crook from Long Island, too, whose name nobody knows. Because he's got so many damn aliases. He's got 23 charges on him, too. Federal charges, they don't file federal charges unless they got enough proof to convict. Which means they got enough evidence to convince a jury that they're guilty. And that means, and federal, if you go to federal prison, there is no early release. They do not have a pardon program. If you're sentenced, you go, see ya. And when your time is up, if you ain't dead, you can come out. And then you got political prisoners like Leonard Peltier.
Yeah.
Native American, 50 years he's been behind bars almost. And they never did prove conclusively that he was the one that fired the shots. He never denied he had a gun, never denied he was in the area. But they couldn't put it together more than that, and they convicted him anyway.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a jury of his peers. It was a jury of white men.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying he didn't have a hand in it, but the way it was done was not proper. And that's how corrupt the system's been. And you're talking that's the last 50 years since I got out of high school, where I've been watching it a lot closer.
So I did read that your senator, Bernie Sanders, is wanting to get him released. Do you think that's going to happen?
Oh, the only way he'll do it is it takes presidential pardon to get him out. And Clinton didn't do it, and neither Bush did it. Reagan wouldn't do it because it was almost on his watch when he got put in there.
Yeah.
Of course, Trump's not going to do it because he's not white. Or didn't do it. I stand corrected.
Obama didn't do it either.
Nope. So, and it's not the petitions haven't been there, so they knew about it. They know about him. And I don't know why, Oh, here's another thing too. And this is going to really get you. Special interest groups, which are the military-industrial complex. Thank you, Eisenhower, for that phrase. The Palestinians here are going through exactly what Native Americans went through 150 years ago. 75 years ago, a bunch of refugees from Europe descended on the land that they've lived in for thousands of years. They invaded and they have restricted the rights of the dark-skinned people ever since. And they wonder why they were attacked. I'm not condoning the attack, don't get me wrong. But they don't understand when you oppress a people like that, just like my people were oppressed and we kicked ass at Little Bighorn.
Yeah.
They should have seen this coming. But the last year or so since Netanyahu, Yahoo's a good word for him, got in, he's been restricting the Palestinians even more than they were already. Moving them out of houses they've lived in for 70 years, families of generations, because they're where the white people want to live. And then they wonder why all of a sudden this open rebellion happens.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't have, there were other ways to do it, I'm sure, but when your nuts are against the wall, you're going to react, and they feel that way because they keep getting shoved aside, and they were there first, where they got to go.
Yeah.
The white folks can go back to freaking Europe. The Nazis are gone. The Soviets are gone. And that was their main reason to get out of there. Well, they're gone now. 75 years they've been gone. Get your asses back there where you belong.
There you go.
Let the Palestinians have their homeland. Because if you look at any National Geographic map before 1948, Palestine is listed where Israel is. It has the same friggin' boundaries.
Yeah.
So there's something wrong with that picture. Yes, I'm getting a little steamed. I'm just tired. Well, Israel didn't start. Well, yes, they did.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but they did. And they've been doing, no, I'm not sorry. I'm telling it like it is. They started it, and they didn't expect a reaction. They thought the Palestinians would roll over in the smallest moment and fall out of bed like the story goes. Well, it did, but it landed on a bunch of dynamite. So, there you have it.
Yep. It's interesting you mention that because some people think the Israeli lobby is one of the biggest lobbies in the...
It is. That's why I got to it eventually.
Yeah. And
I mean, I don't deny the Holocaust. I don't deny, I understand the logic behind it. The fear in the 40s.
Yeah.
But the UN's one of the first things the UN did was one of the biggest mistakes they ever made was creating Israel out of lands that supposedly the British held.
Yeah.
And look what happens. And this has been what has been on this pot for 75 years, and the boil just keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And you've heard stories about pressure cookers exploding. Well, there's your pressure cooker exploding.
Yeah.
And nobody saw it coming. Are they that stupid or that blind? I know, rhetorical question, no answer.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So there you have it. You're making your case very well, because Israel, a lot of people think that they're a very big lobbyist, and a lot of people think if you dare to criticize them, you get labeled as an anti-Semite. Of course, there are people who are anti-Semitic who criticize Israel.
Yeah. Well, I'm anti-religion, all of them.
Oh, okay.
I don't. Well, no, religions. Let me tell you a little story about religions, and I know this from history because that was one of the things I studied. Histories were created by the educated and rich to control the masses of the uneducated and the unwashed. And people fell for it, and they're still falling for it.
Yeah, no sign of declining.
Okay, oh yeah, charity and goodwill towards all. Well, why do you waste so much money building these edifices to your religion when that money could have helped the poor? You could have built a little small meeting house like the Quakers do, instead of these cathedrals out of stone, which cost way more. And all that money's and it takes Notre Dame and Paris, good example. They spent 800 years building it. How much money did they waste? Now they're spending another $5 million to restore it. That money could have done a lot of good elsewhere. Almost anywhere else.
True.
And yet, they're going to waste it. And you wonder why I get pissed. Well, you don't. You kind of got it already.
Yeah.
Oh.
So to end this terrible situation, do you think we need to pass a law, or is it action on an individual level? What do you think is the best strategy to stop this?
The PACs?
Yeah.
You're going to have to get people that want to just, you do away with them all the time, and you're going to have to get grassroots support for them, because big business will try to lock them out. That's why third parties don't work. We have to take back control of what we're stuck with so far.
Okay.
And once we take control of either one of those, because Bernie, if the Democrats get in there, Bernie put a bill in to eliminate them. And I'm sure Angus King would back him up on it.
Sure.
Just from what I read their stuff. That's why I say they both go with it. So, but it's people have got to take control of Congress. They cannot let these big business keep running the stuff, because look where it's gotten us. You got homeless people in vacant buildings, and yet they can't figure out how to put the two together.
Yeah, good point.
You know, I mean, how stupid is that? You know, and although there was a few years ago here, this town south of me in Williamstown, they got an old abandoned building. They got a hold of it. It's not super huge, but they turned it into like 4 or 5 apartments, and they offered it to homeless veterans.
Okay.
One of the guys that's been there that I know reasonably well, because I see him at the Legion, has been there 25 years. He loves it. It's just a little one-room studio type thing, shared kitchen, shared shower. And other people do come and go. But he's been there 20. He says, why should I leave? I've got it good here. I can afford the rent. He says, there's no point in me going anywhere.
Okay. Yeah.
So, well, I don't think he has much family, is what I'm saying. So.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's just a guess. I don't know him that well, but just talking with him and picking up on these other conversations, being the nosy Nelly that I can be sometimes unintentionally, I kind of picked up he doesn't have a lot of family. And he certainly doesn't have a lot of friends. So,
Oh no.
well, it's because he was homeless for so long, you know. And there's a stigma attached to that.
Yeah.
So,
So good for him. He was able to get out of homelessness.
yep. Yep. Well, I'll tell you, a lot of the other guys that have gone through that building, that was just a stepping stone for them to get their own place.
Okay.
But I think the administration likes to have somebody that stays there because he keeps an eye on things and he knows how it's supposed to be.
Okay.
And I don't know this for a fact, but I got a feeling if something's amiss, he would let the admins know. That's
Sure.
just conjecture on my part.
So do you think, speaking of homelessness, do you think that lobbyists are a big reason why that there's
Oh, hell
problems?
yes. Hell yeah, because they're buying up politicians, and the politicians, they don't care because they make their friggin' money regardless of whether they work or not. Congress is getting paid. Even though the House is, you know, they're still getting paid even though the House is shut down. Although I will be interesting to see the 6 o'clock news, see if Jim Jordan got elected speaker, because it's supposed to be a vote today. And that'll be a sign, too, because if he's elected speaker, this country's headed for, flush twice, it's a long way to Washington. Seriously. Trump didn't destroy it, but he certainly planted the seeds.
So some people talk about how Trump positions himself and labels himself as draining the swamp. So you would probably say that he didn't do that, right?
Oh, no, he didn't. He made it worse. Oh, okay, here's one for you, right? When he left the biggest deficit in the country has ever seen, thanks to his tax cuts, which expired for everybody except his billionaire friends last year. Your taxes doubled last year because of that tax cut he gave you for 3 or 4 years. But the billionaires still aren't paying taxes. Not their fair share. If you look at the percentage, average Joe pays 35% of his gross income in taxes.
Yeah.
A billionaire may pay more in money, but they spend less than 10% of their total income in taxes. And don't forget, Amazon hasn't paid federal taxes in years. And neither has Amazon or Walmart. They get all these tax breaks, so they wind up not paying taxes. Now, who picks up the slack on that? We do.
Yep.
I mean, it's right there in black and white. If anybody does the time to read, and I'm not talking about, I mean, there's plenty of places, there's so much bullshit online, but there are places you can find that tell the truth as best they don't. Mother Jones is a good example.
Okay, good.
So I read a lot of and another one is the Palmer Report. Both of those are very good.
The what report?
Palmer Report.
Palmer, okay.
Palmer, yeah, like, to go back to the old joke as teenagers, Rosie Palmer, remember? I'm sure you heard that one.
I think of A. Mitchell Palmer, who was a precursor to McCarthy. In the 20s, he did raids on Red.
Yep, perfect. Yeah, but it's not, trust me, this guy's not Red.
Okay,
they are fairly, I can't remember what the guy's first name is. But he's definitely a social democrat, like Bernie.
Okay, good.
So, and Mother Jones tries to be as neutral as possible. Mother Jones is as neutral as you're going to find. Now, those two I do donate to because they're getting the truth out.
Okay, so those are good sources if our audience wants
I think, my opinion, yes.
Okay.
And they're easy enough to find online.
Sure.
And you can get subscriptions to both for free. I don't donate a lot, but I donate a little.
Sure.
I mean, even think of it now. There's, I can't even think of the name of it, but it's one of these, The Atlantic is so conservative, but you can't even read their stuff online unless you subscribe. The ones to watch out for are the ones that charge you, doesn't matter which side they're on. If they charge you for a subscription, then they're trying to convince you.
Huh.
The ones that are free, that ask for donation, but it's voluntary, those are the ones to follow, because they're going to be more apt to tell you the truth. Because they think the truth is more important than the donations.
Wow.
Not the other way around. That just popped in. I'm glad it did.
Sure. That's an interesting argument. It makes sense.
Yeah. God, don't tell my ex-wives that. They'll never believe you.
Huh. So, Fox, how can our audience support your efforts?
Run for office and don't take big bucks. Even if it's a local one. Bernie started as a mayor. It's going to take years to win this fight, and I won't be around to see the end of it, I'm sure. I mean, I'm 70 years old. I'm in good health, but my grandparents both live into their 90s, so it gives me 20 years, and I think it's going to take a hell of a lot longer than that to straighten this mess out.
Sure.
But you got to get in at the grassroots and do something. Support anybody that doesn't take big bucks. And research your candidates. Find out who backs them. If you got somebody that's being backed by General Motors or Ford or Verizon or any of those are all lobbies. They're big biz and lobbies. The railroads, same way. See who their major donors are and steer clear of them. Vote for anybody that's running against them.
Wow.
But you got to do the research. You can't take the sound bites off the 6 o'clock news and run with that. You got to do the research. You got to look into it.
Yeah.
And that's why we're where we are, because nobody bothered to take the time. This is our country. We have to put the time into it if we want to fix it.
Yes.
Because we got what we played for by not doing the research.
Sure. So how about the webpage? Is that a good place for people to come to learn more about the issue? The Facebook page that I found you at?
If I can get conversations going on that, I would love it. But it's been dormant. I put it up there and it's been dormant.
Okay.
Almost from day one.
Oh, no.
But if people have ideas, bring them up there. We can share them.
All right.
I mean, if you want to be an admin on it, I'd happy put you on there for an admin.
Okay, we'll see. I can put this in the show notes, and we can see. We can trust that some audience will respond sooner or later.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Fox, we thank you for the conversation today. Like I said, this is a topic.
Well, we went a little overboard, didn't we?
It's okay. That's what we're here for. We're here to talk about things that people don't want to talk about.
Well, thanks for getting hold of me. I appreciate it. I got the vent, and that's always good for the soul.
Yes, exactly.
So, all righty. Well, you know where I am. You know how to get hold of me.
Okay, take care and all the best.
Same to you. Good luck with that.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.